Hi, Rebecca and Damien here from Cherished Marriage Ministries. Welcome to our very first conversation. What are we going to talk about today, honey?
Well, today we're talking about the 10 must-haves your marriage can't live without.
So the first one we're going to talk about is L-O-V-E, love.
Exactly. Well, we obviously understand that love requires commitment, okay? So, like anything, we know that love isn't intentional. You can't just turn it on and turn it off. It has to be there all the time.
That's right. Yeah, love is a choice. It's not actually a feeling. So we choose to love every day. You can't just go off how you feel, because some days you may feel frustrated at your spouse or just circumstances in general, and you just don't want to take it out on your spouse. You love anyway. So it's definitely a choice.
And I think it's put into analogy about a garden.
Mm-hmm.
If you don't look after your garden and keep it well watered and keep it fertilised, nothing can grow from it.
Yeah, that's right. So yes, love, very important. And it's all through the Bible as well. So yes, love is kind and love is generous. Love is not self-seeking. It's not not selfish, and
And of course, it's love is about two people, not just one person. When people say that they're going to give 50% and someone else gives 50%, well, we know it doesn't work. It's all in or not in.
Yeah, it's 100, not 50-50.
Exactly.
Yeah. Okay, so that's love. So number two, what's number two?
Respect.
Respect. R-E-S-P-E-C-T.
Just waiting for that.
Yes, respect. Okay, so have you ever been around a couple who don't respect each other? You know, the couple that are always having a dig at each other in front of other people, or making rude comments at each other.
Oh, and especially on social media. How many people just bag their spouse on social media? It's just something that you just don't do.
Yeah, I know I'm very conscious of not bagging anyone on, especially my husband, on social media. I deliberately lift him up on social media and praise him because he's an amazing husband.
And of course, if you look at all marriages, and the main thing that men require is respect from their spouse. That's what it's all about. It is the main driver. Once you're in a relationship where your wife is always, building a male up and showing respect, it's not hard to reciprocate, and that's what it's all about.
And just like love, respect is a choice. You choose to respect your spouse, just like you choose every day to love your spouse. So, it's in the little things. So, respect is really important. We need to show our spouse that we appreciate them and that we respect them. So.
Yeah, it was funny. I was having a conversation today. Brand new hairdo for the video, and the hairdresser.
Good, by the way.
Thank you. The lady was talking about everything being a competition, and I just sat back and I was enjoying my haircut. It's been a while, but just to hear what she was saying that everything was a competition, I just don't know how I could survive in a relationship like that. Marriage is about a partnership.
Being on the same team.
Exactly.
Yep. And I think little compliments go a long way as well in respect. Instead of doing the opposite, where you're bagging your spouse and pointing out all the negatives you may find. Not that you've got any, because you're pretty amazing.
No,
but it's the little compliments. You're looking beautiful today, or thank you for making me a cup of tea, because he always makes me a cup of tea in the morning, and I really appreciate it. It's the little things.
Yeah, and as like one of the love languages is, words of affirmation. It's not hard to be respectful just by every now and then passing on a little compliment. You're looking good today, or I know you're not feeling well, and it's the case that I know that you're a trooper some days, because obviously with the fibromyalgia you suffer from, sometimes it's really hard to to function during the day. So, being respectful to your spouse, I don't think it's hard work. It should just come naturally.
Yeah. So that was number two, respect. So the third most important thing in a marriage we're going to talk about is mutual submission. Now the word submission sometimes gets a lot of bad rap. People take it the wrong way. It doesn't mean being a doormat and that one spouse has it over the other spouse. But yeah, submission is biblical, and when you both submit to each other and you have that servant heart for each other, then it goes a long way.
Oh, it's like anything, particularly in our relationship, we're obviously submissive to the Lord.
Yep.
He's our number one, and should be, and we praise Him. But then when it comes to being in a spousal relationship, as such, being submissive is not an issue. It's mutual, and sometimes it's also being about self-sacrificing as well too. And one of the things of being self-sacrificial is obviously what the Lord did as well too, by giving up His life for us. So submission, but it goes both ways.
I think what you said there about submitting to the Lord first. The Lord is sort of not our boss, but God is most important, and we submit to Him, and then we submit to each other, and that's how you become one. Really, if you're not submitting to each other, one's got more say and more.
One's got more dominance. And
that's right.
It's not meant to be.
Yeah, meant to be a team. So submission is a big one. So that's number 3. So number 4. What's number 4?
Kindness.
Kindness.
Actually, what were we watching yesterday? They were talking about. It was Arthur last night, and he was saying, just be kind. He's Arthur and Jen have been married for I think it was just over 5 years, and he basically lives by his daily ritual of just being kind, and it's one of the easiest things that we can do.
Yeah, well, I think being kind is a no-brainer. I mean, too many couples spend their days sort of yelling at each other and making quips, and it's just that environment that they create. So just be kind to each other. There's no need to say anything horrible, and you don't want to create a toxic environment in your marriage or in your family. So.
And it's one of the easiest things we can do, just to be kind, whether we're out in the community, whether we're inside our own personal homes, even with our children and so on. It's just being kind.
It must be. It's about being mindful of our words and our actions, and choosing kindness every time. So Proverbs 12:25 says, I'll just read it from my Bible here: anxiety weighs down the heart, but kind words cheers up the hearer. So our homes and our marriages should be full of kind words.
And if you start in your own home being kind, it then just makes it easy to transition out into your community, whether it be in your workplace, or whatever. It's really, really simple.
Yep. So kindness. Okay, so number 5, daily communication. This is something we've been very, what's the word I'm looking for? Very consistent with, just making time to communicate each day, because often Damien will leave early in the morning for work when I haven't even properly opened my eyes. And so we try and make time when he comes home from work to reconnect, whether we go for a walk together or just sit and have a cup of tea and a chat. So just so he can go over even the little things that happen during the day and share each other's frustrations perhaps and some of the highlights.
Oh, it's just one of those things that in a good relationship you have good communication. When you're pretending that everything's okay, and people see it on the outside and you're hurting on the inside, it's about simple communication, discussing if there is any issues or so on. But it's how we function. If we aren't able to talk to someone, or we can't communicate with our spouse, we'd all be walking around like robots. And it's not hard.
No.
As you said before, because I do leave early in the morning for work, I make sure that when I get home, after my wife kindly lets me sit down and watch the news, that we do sit down and have that debrief time, because during the day you've got different responsibilities. You're homeschooling, you're being a homemaker, you're being a student as well too. So And sometimes when you get involved with a lot of things, you just fall into noise. So being able to come home and debrief, I'm sure it helps you. And I know that after I've had a day at work, talking to my buff and my polish, it's always nice to have someone that comes back with a response.
And I think I'm very conscious of the fact of not dumping everything on Damien when he comes home from work either. I normally open the front door, give him a kiss, make him a cup of tea. I normally have candles on. I normally have some nice music on just to set the mood for him coming home so that it's actually a relaxing environment. And the other thing that I find is important is removing distractions. So too often we can be in the same room together and one can be watching the television and the other maybe scrolling through social media or playing games on their phones. And
the best one is when you see the children actually talking to each other in the lounge room
on their phones. But yeah, so put down the phone, turn off the television and connect without distraction, I think is really important, because it's really frustrating if you're trying to talk to someone and you get the yep, and they're not really absorbing what you're saying because they're staring at a screen of some sort. So
oh, that's fair enough.
Yep. So that was number 5. So what we're going to do is come back next week and we're going to do the remaining...
The important one, sexual intimacy.
The remaining 5. So if you want to hear about sexual intimacy and more, come back next week for the most important aspects of a marriage.
Thanks, Beck.
Thank you. See you next week.
See you next week.
Bye.